Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On this panel, we have a trans woman, we have a white gay man, a black gay man, a straight woman, a black lesbian, and a white lesbian is going to join us. And we have a Muslim gay man. This is a true reflection of the Britain that we live in now. And that is why I believe strongly in the intersection that comes along with my race, and my sexuality, and my cultural belief, and my spiritual belief. And so for every one of you that have come out tonight, all I just want to say is, sit back, enjoy it, because it's really going to be amazing. Thank you.
At the end of the day, in terms of the conversations this evening, I feel it's not about demonizing any group. It's not about reinforcing, otherness. It's about having a dialogue. It's about sitting down and having a dialogue, and us leaving this evening with a call to action. Because it's all well and good coming and listening to our wonderful panel talk, but what happens tomorrow? What are we going to do? And that's what Bisi and I were getting at when we had the conversation earlier this year. We were moaning, saying, oh my God, this is really terrible. And then we were like, well, why don't we just do something about it? So this really we see as the beginning, as a continuation of something really powerful. What are we going to be doing next in terms of having an LGBT community that is recognizing the intersection between our identities, knowing that when we come to the table, we bring all of who we are. We don't leave a particular aspect behind.
When I came to London a couple of years ago to begin working with my partner Chris, who's over there, I then met London's gay black community through Bisi. And this I've never said to Bisi. What I found out was that they were living like they did in Nigeria. A lot of them were still living in the closet. I thought when I came here, I would be able to interview them. I would be able to change perception. In fact, a few of them also had to return to Nigeria. Some, because of the laws here and all of that, they had to return to Nigeria and go back into the closet in Nigeria. For me, it was heartbreaking. It felt like I sacrificed a lot for very little. So, it's been a 2-year journey for me to understand Britain's LGBT community and all the nuances. And therefore, what I want us to do today is begin to unpeel that onion so that we'll understand better. And I'm going to start immediately. I'm going to ask each person to give sort of like a 3 minutes. I'm going to ask you a question, and you have 3 minutes to sort of run through it. And then we're just going to start going back and forth and have fun tonight. Is that okay? Yeah. Is that a good plan? Yeah. All right. So I'm going to start with you, Omar. Why does a gay person want to like religion? Why does a gay person want to be religious? This is what they say. It seems to be that there should be no intersection between spirituality, religious belief, faith in particular, and one's sexual orientation. What would you say to those kind of conversations, those kind of arguments?
I have a very simple answer to that. At the end of the day, my religion is a personal relationship with my Allah, my God, and me. It is my interpretation of my religion. Just because, like any other human being in the planet, I am a Muslim by choice, not because I was born into a Muslim family. I have read the Quran, I've read the Torah, and I choose to be a Muslim because I believe in what the Quran says. My personal interpretation of the Quran, which might be viewed as moderate interpretation, the Quran does not condemn homosexuality outright. My argument, and I have repeated this 1,000 million times to an extent that it is becoming my catchphrase. How Allah, who is by my religion, by Islam, is the creator of all creations, how could he be so cruel to create a subsection that was destined to be persecuted, hated, be manipulated, to be condemned? Allah is not that cruel. The first line of the Quran says, there is only one God and there is only one God, and He is merciful. if I have a merciful God, he would not allow me his own creation. I never came out of a closet. I was born this way.
Right.
So hence, that is my understanding of why I am a Muslim.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to go to Paul. And we're going to talk about culture and representation and the media in particular. Because every time, I mean, I've watched Will and Grace, I've watched Modern Family, I've watched there is never there are no black gay people. There are no Muslim gay people. There are only these nice, you know, well-dressed, tattoo-wearing, white.
I think that's true overall. There are some great black gay characters in mainstream television. In True Blood, there's a fantastic character, and in The Wire, there was a fantastic character, Omar Little. I do think that the media as a whole is obviously very, very white. I feel very strongly that those of us in editorial positions in the LGBT media have a responsibility to represent as wide a world as possible. And certainly at Time Out I try as best I can to do that. We started a prize 3 years ago, a literary prize for a first book by LGBT, with LGBT themes, by LGBT writers. And unsurprisingly, we were overwhelmed with books by and about white gay men the first year. There were very few books on women the first year, and there were no books whatsoever from people of colour. Now in the third year, I'm pleased to say that's changed. It's taken a while for the word to get out. This year we had far more submissions from women, and of the 5 shortlisted books, 1 is by an Asian lesbian. So there has been a shift. There is a shift. Things are getting better, I think, in that respect. Right,
and that would be because of, you would say some sort of education. I'm going to ask Elly.
I heard the word education.
Yes. It's said there's a lot of learning. A lot of learning is done outside of the classroom. But you are doing a lot of work within the classroom.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now tell me, in terms of inclusion or the kind of cultural diversity that, the gay reality represents, what have you found in the schools? What have you found with the children? Do you have, is there a cultural difference in the ways in which the children accept the messages that you take to them?
Yeah, it works on lots of different levels, because yes, we do the work in the classroom. I want to pick up on that point first. If you look at statistics, the National College did their research in 2010. Amazingly, I know we knew this already, but the biggest influence on children's learning is what happens in those individual classrooms. So it's about what the teacher is saying in those individual classrooms. And when you ask teachers how to do that, they're like, oh, I don't know, I'm just fearful. So it's the teachers, I work with kids, I work with teachers, I work with parents, who's the audience that give me the most adversity? Who do you think? It's not what you think, it's not the parents, it's the teachers, because it's them that are scared of doing it, because we're living and working, remember, under the legacy of Section 28. Our kids, none of them, if you look at reception kids, none of us are born racist, sexist or homophobic. You watch children play, they'll play with anybody, and we need to learn a lot from the children. That's where it comes from. They do not have prejudices. It's us as adults. That's where this ingrained fear is.
I was watching something that you did recently. I don't know how recent that was, talking about the so-called big society. And when we talk about education, civil rights movements, civil societies, we're talking about funding that needs to go into research, that needs to go into organizations that support information and so on and so forth. But a lot of that is being cut.
Don't I know it? Well, politics is all about choices, and you can choose to move people to Manchester in an hour quicker, or you can choose to invest in your communities. I know what shall I say, mate? But I do. I'm concerned really that we make sure that the research and the money that is spent on research is actually driven by the needs of people rather than the whims of the researcher so much. For me, if you start from a notion of asserting your values, and your values being around freedom, values being around justice, then that should drive a research agenda, rather than seeking out of curiosity to want to find out more and more about people's lives. And I think, particularly for black gay men, there have been a series of research initiatives because we're curious, we want to know. I mean, there's that classic moment when Oprah starts talking about the download and everybody runs around trying to find, where's that black man doesn't want to tell us he's gay? How can we find? Well, actually, he doesn't want to be found. So, frankly, as a researcher, you're probably not going to find it. So these agendas, which are driven really out of kind of a prurient curiosity about the exotic, rather than freedom and justice, I think aren't all that useful. So, people should make some better choices about the research that they actually engage.
Yeah, but then how? I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. Did you feel black lesbians?
You're coming out here.
When Bisi told me first about Black Gay Pride, I thought to myself, absolutely fantastic, because at the end of the day, then you see people come out. You see black lesbians, black gay men, and all of that. But hasn't it become sort of fetishizing? Sort of like, what did you call it earlier? Sort of like creating the exotic, as against dealing with the issues, really.
Short answer to that for me is no, it hasn't, because I think what UK Black Pride sets out to do is to keep the politics in the pride. And I think when you look at prides around the country, it's all great that men, women can get dressed up and have tassels on their nipples and this, that, and that's the enjoyment. But we have to remember why we're celebrating pride and why we're celebrating.
Do you think that's often remembered?
Probably not. Probably not, and probably yes. It's probably half a dozen of one, half a dozen of the other. But in regards to UK Black Pride, we are not just celebrating being black. When I say black, I mean black in its political context. We're celebrating the multiple identities that we come with. So we're black, we're lesbian, we're gay, we're bisexual, we're transgender, we're intersex, we have religion, faith, belief. We're mothers, and this is something that I always home into. Yeah. I am a mother and I'm a grandmother.
Come on now.
I know. And I think that what we have to remember is that diversity, we're so rich in it, but we have to actually come together first to be proud of who we are and then create that space, and that is exactly what UK Black Pride has done. So when Paul was talking about the media and having pictures, UK Black Pride has created that space, and I say UK, for people to just be. Come as you are, come in your national attire, come with your faith, your belief, whether you're an atheist, just come and be and celebrate everybody's diversity, but remember that it's about educating, empowerment, spirituality, and being positive about being black. And let's not forget, we need allies. We certainly need allies like yourself, so it's a great pleasure and honour to be sat here with you.
You're talking about those diversity, and the richness within the LGBT community. Black, non-black, Asian, trans. It's not an image you see a lot of.
You don't see any of it.
Yeah. Why?
Really? I don't know why.
Are there none?
No, there are. There are some. I have personally, in the last 10 years, met 2 trans women of culture, and their stories of abuse and rejection from within their own community were absolutely horrific. It made my hair stand on end, and fortunately it was a lot shorter then than it is now. But I think there's a huge problem in terms of transness being seen very much as a white person's disease. And actually, historically, trans is across the world, in all different cultures, in all different periods of history. it's a problem. And I mean, the media tends to focus very much on trans women. I mean, there's an invisibility of trans men in the media. And there's a complete invisibility of non-white trans people completely, and I've never met any non-white trans men. I'd love to meet some.
If you think people are not noticing, if you think that change, and that's it's going to take a generation or 2 generations, it might be closer than you like. Thank you.